It rarely starts with a disaster, no explosion, no dramatic moment, just a quiet shift that no one talks about. You're a child, and somehow you're the one paying attention. You notice when the mood changes. You notice when voices get sharper. You notice when silence means something is wrong. And without realizing it, you adapt. You don't ask for much, you don't complain, you don't make things harder, because somewhere deep inside, your brain learns one rule. If I stay small, things stay stable. That's how a child grows up too fast, not by choice, but by necessity. Psychologists call this early emotional responsibility. It happens when a child becomes more aware, more careful, more controlled than their age should allow. Maybe you had to emotionally support a parent. Maybe you learned to avoid conflict at all costs. Maybe you became the good one, the mature one, the strong one, and people praised you for it. They said things like, "You're so grown up for your age. You're wise beyond your years. You handle things so well." What they didn't see was what it cost you. When a child grows up too fast, something important gets postponed. Their own needs. Your emotions become secondary. Your fear becomes inconvenient. Your sadness becomes a problem. So you learn to manage yourself instead of being cared for. You read the room before you speak. You sense tension before words are said. You adjust your behavior to keep peace. Over time, this creates a child who feels safe only when everything is under control. And that rewires the nervous system. Here's where it gets deep. A child who grows up too fast often develops hyper-awareness, always scanning, always anticipating, always preparing. Your body learns that calm is temporary, that peace can disappear without warning, that rest is something you earn, not something you deserve. So even as an adult, your system doesn't fully relax. You may feel uncomfortable doing nothing, guilty for resting, anxious when things are quiet, because chaos feels familiar and familiarity feels safe. As you get older, this survival pattern disguises itself as strength. You become independent, sometimes too independent. You struggle to ask for help. You feel uneasy relying on anyone. You might attract relationships where you give more than you receive, where you become the emotional anchor, the fixer, the listener, and secretly you wonder why no one ever takes care of you. But you don't say it, because you learned early that needing too much risks losing everything. Many adults who grew up too fast feel emotionally older than their peers, yet strangely disconnected from joy. They can handle pressure, responsibility, and crisis, but struggle with play, softness, and rest. Happiness feels unfamiliar. Praise feels uncomfortable. Love feels conditional. And deep down, there's a quiet exhaustion. Not physical, existential. Here's the part most people never hear. Growing up too fast doesn't mean you were strong. It means you were unsupported, and there's grief in that. Grief for the version of you who didn't get to be messy, didn't get to be careless, didn't get to fall apart without consequences. That child is still inside you, not broken, just waiting. Healing doesn't start with changing your behavior. It starts with recognizing the pattern, not telling yourself, "It wasn't that bad. I survived. Others had it worse." Survival isn't the same as being whole. Healing begins when you admit, "I had to grow up before I was ready, and that wasn't fair." As an adult, the work is no longer survival, it's permission. Permission to rest without guilt. Permission to need without shame. Permission to feel without apologizing. It means learning that love doesn't require performance, that safety doesn't require control, that softness isn't weakness. You don't heal by becoming someone new. You heal by returning to the part of you that had to disappear too early and finally letting them exist. That's not regression. That's integration. And maybe the real question isn't, why am I like this? Maybe it's this. Who would you have been if you were allowed to be a child? What parts of you learned to stay quiet, to stay useful, to stay strong, just to keep love from leaving? And what would happen if you stopped proving your worth and started listening to that part instead? So let me ask you this. When did you grow up? Was it a moment, a year, or did it happen so slowly that no one noticed, not even you? And if that child inside you could finally speak today, what would they ask for? Rest? Safety? Or just to be seen? Take a second. Be honest. Because sometimes the beginning of healing isn't an answer at all. It's the first question you were never allowed to ask.